Hi guys, I'm back. I'm taking off my glasses just so it won't reflect the light that's in front of me so you can see me well. Today I'm here to talk to you guys about something kind of specific that happened today, but not really specific because it kind of happens a lot. So I wasn't really eloquent right now, but let's get to the point. What I want to talk about is positivity. And whether or not positivity is just people being naive, or is it actually a form of resistance? In my opinion, of course it depends on the situation, but I like to think that being positive is a form of resistance. Because if there's something that really bothers me is when people talk about the worst things that happen in the world. And there are many stuff to talk about on that note. Up to a certain point, it's very important that we talk about this sort of stuff. If I had never been presented to the issue of climate change, I would have never cared about it, and I would have never taken action, the amount of action I was able to take up until now. So it is important that people are presented to these issues and to the challenges we need to fix and to situations we need to work on as humanity. But there's only so much we can do, when it comes to those big world problems, we can do stuff as individuals, but there's just some things we cannot do. And it doesn't help feeling bad about the stuff we can't do. If our feeling bad is going to take away time we could be investing in making the things and doing the things we can do. For example, at school, we have to talk about all these different world issues. And it is important that we know what's going on in the world, but up to a certain point, if all we're going to do is talk about how many wars there are going on and how many people fight with each other and how many people are suffering, yeah, we should know that, but what are we gonna do about it? It's not enough to just think about things and world issues in theory if we're not gonna take action. And I feel in life, we spend so much time thinking about the things that are going wrong and so little time actually working on solving them, especially at school. And if there's something that really upsets me, is when we generalize the worst things that happen in the world with everybody. Because yes, there are bad things happening, there are bad people out there, but it's not everybody who's bad, and there are good news out there. You just have to search for it. And of course, it takes a little bit more effort, but if you do search for it, you'll find many incredible news of young people fighting in their own countries to improve education or climate knowledge or literally anything else. Literally here in Brazil last week, apparently a scientist discovered something that could help people who couldn't walk anymore start walking again. So there are good things happening, and all we have to do is actually notice them. And when it comes to positivity, it's about being able to notice these things and holding on to them instead of holding on to the bad things. Because I think for people who are really sensitive, like me, if all we do is think about the bad things, we're not going to have the energy to do anything about them. We need to be presented to the bad news and to the stuff that honestly we can't control with limits, because otherwise all it's gonna do is drain us of our energy and make us feel terrible, because you don't know what the person is doing when you tell a class full of students that you think the world should end. That's really that doesn't really make sense, because maybe one of the students you're saying that to spent the entire last day recycling and researching and working on projects and trying to convince adults to let them start a club at their school. Maybe they did that. And you're gonna tell them that humanity should be killed the next day because some grown-ups they don't even know and probably will never know are deciding to do stuff that maybe are harming us all? And the positivity that I was talking about in the beginning of this video is that instead of making students care by telling them that we should be killed, we should make them care by seeing all the amazing things we're capable of doing and making them fall in love with that. Because if they fall in love with all the amazing potential that humans have, they will have no other option but to fight like hell to protect it. And I will try to figure out some way I can help with that. In the meanwhile, all I'm trying to do is make sure I get through the day whenever I hear something like that, because I really love studying and I think it's really important. But sometimes when you have a class about all of these big world issues, all you want to do is maybe sit down and brainstorm something you can do to improve the lives of the people in your community. But you can't do that because you have physics class, which is also pretty important. But when you're trying to focus on physics and then these classes about big world issues, you can't have someone telling you that the world is gonna end. That is simply just so cruel for people who take things literally, because a lot of people are able to hear this and completely let go. I am not one of those people. For example, I take things that I hear very seriously. And when I hear something like that, it takes a while for me to get back to my usual mood. And I really try to be an upbeat person, especially when it comes to these world issues. Because I've found from my own experience that that is the most persuasive way to get people to join. I get people to join the club by telling them how exciting it is to create projects and how exciting it is to actually see that what you're doing has an impact. That's how I've gotten people to join the club. It was not by making a presentation telling them about the 430 parts per million of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Sure, that's true and that's important, but that's not how we're gonna get them to be involved on the long run, for a long time, for as long as it takes for us to get back on our feet. Sorry if this was a messy reflection. I just needed to get it out of my system so that I can think about what I'm gonna do next, because this is basically what I do, I find a problem, I try to think about something I can do. And most times that something I can do is not much and it doesn't solve the entire problem by far, but it's something. And I always try to focus on the something rather than the nothing. And this is my message to you guys today. Hope you've enjoyed this video and stay positive. Bye.